Hey guys, how's it going? In today's video, I want to show you my vegetable garden plans for this year, plus a really cool website to help you design your own. I've got my laptop right in front of me, and this is my vegetable garden. I am so excited about it. Again, like I said, I don't know exactly how much space I have to deal with until the snow is gone, but I kind of, and this might be a little generous, I put it as being 40 feet wide. I might not have that much space, and that's what happens when I plan stuff out. I get so excited and so into it that I tend to fudge the lines just a little bit, and then 25 feet deep. So I've got 8 4x8 beds in there and 4 4x4 beds, and then I plan to put something fancy, maybe a large pot with some herbs or flowers or a fountain in the center. So anyway, let me show you how you can design your own. It's super easy. So you can see on the left hand side there's a bunch of resources which I can talk about in just a minute, but I just want to get right into planning. So right here in the center you'll see that there's an option for pre-planned gardens and design your own garden. So I'm going to show you the pre-planned gardens tab first. Click on it, and right up at the top it gives you 26 pre-planned garden options, and I think that this is really good for anybody who's a beginner, or really even inspiration for those of us who've gardened more. So you can go either to the right or the left, and you can see all the different options that are available. So I just want to talk about this first one here. It's called Cook's Choice, and right here it gives you kind of a synopsis of what you can expect from the garden, and you can kind of see a little sketch of what it might look like. And then if you scroll down, it shows you everything, what's in each 1x1 square. This is a 3x6, and you can see that there's basil and parsley, onions, spinach, tomatoes, etc. And then if you scroll down even more, it gives you a planting guide for each one of the crops that you have in that garden. And I think that this is probably the most helpful thing on this site, because when you choose, like this first one, you choose basil for your garden. It tells you how deep to plant the seeds, when to plant them, whether or not you should do it inside or outside, how far you should space them, the days to harvest, and then it gives you some tips and hints for growing each individual crop. So some things that can help you have more success with the crop. So if I scroll down, it's got all of the different things that are in that bed. Now, the cool thing too about this, that even though it's a pre-planned garden, if it has one thing in it that you don't really care for, like this garden has Swiss chard in it, and I'm not a huge fan of Swiss chard, so you can edit it. So you might like everything else about it, but want to get rid of the chard. So I'm going to hit the edit button there. And then you can go through all of these options. Right here is the list of vegetables and herbs, and you can hit previous or next and go find the crop that you want. So let's say instead of Swiss chard, you want to put beets in there. I like beets more than Swiss chard. So you just drag and drop the beets and drop it right over that Swiss chard square, and you can see it populates. And it also shows you how many to plant in that area. So I know that when I plant beets in that square, I can plant 9. So that's really it for the pre-planned gardens. I highly recommend going through each one of those and just checking them out and see how they've got them all planted together. It's really interesting. So let me show you how you can design your own. So you go over to the left-hand side and select Design Your Own. And the first thing that will come up is Design Your Row or Bed. So this is where you can adjust the size of all your raised beds, design them all. So I'm going to just start by adjusting the width to 2 feet and the length to 4 feet, just a nice small bed. And then you can see right here, there's the list of all the items. So there's herbs, fruit, vegetables. You can hit previous or next to see them all. And all you do is drag and drop what you want in each square foot. So I'm going to start with basil right there, select beets, and you'll see as you drag and drop things in, it'll show you how many plants you can expect to have grow within that square foot, which I think is really neat. So we'll put beans in there. I'm going to go over and put a cherry tomato in this corner, and that's something I wanted to talk about as well, were larger type crops. So if you've ever grown things like a cherry tomato, you know that some varieties can get really good size. So you just want to keep in mind when you're choosing your varieties to choose something compact or dwarf, something that wants to stay a little bit smaller, or you can allot the amount of space that a bigger plant will need. So if you do want to grow an heirloom type large tomato plant, just make sure that you're allotting the right amount of space. The other couple things you can do are make sure to plant those crops toward the edges of the bed so that they can spill a little bit over, and that way you can still utilize all the space within your bed. You can also stake and trellis. So vine crops, like things like cucumbers, you can put a trellis in, have them grow up, and that way you can still utilize all your space. So keep that in mind when choosing your varieties. So I'm going to finish up with chives, cilantro, and then I want to put in a little bit of leaf lettuce. Let me find it. Here we go. Leaf lettuce right there. So when you're happy with your plan, there are a few different options. So right up here, you can print it, you can email it, you can start over. If you're not happy, if you decide you just want to try again, hit start over and it'll clear all what you've done. You can also edit plan. So if you hit edit plan, see how it changes the way it looks. You can go in and put in individual varieties. So let's say I want to do Slenderette beans. There you go. And you can do that on every one of the squares so that you can delineate everything down to what variety you want to grow. And then when you're happy with all of it, you can save it. So you click save. You can name your bed. So I'm going to name it 2x4 raised bed. And then you put in your email address, and this will allow you to recall all your plans later. So my garden plans at gardenanswer.com and your zip code, and then any notes about the garden. So I'm just going to put in tomato, lettuce, beans, herbs, just so I have something to jog my memory as to what's in that bed, and then hit save. So that's how you design your own row or beds. It's really easy. So at this point, you can go over to design your site plan, and this is where it gets really fun for me. I mean, I really like to design each individual bed, but to design the whole garden, like to see the design come together, that's when it gets really exciting for me. So you can adjust your width or length depending on how much space you have in your garden. You can see here you can either place a saved garden like we just saved, or you can place a pre-planned garden. So any of the 26 pre-planned gardens that they have available, you can place those at this point. So I'm going to select place a saved garden. You put in your email address and hit go. And there it is, 2x4 raised bed. So you select it and hit place, and you can see it right there. It places it right up at the top left corner. And at this point, you can rotate it however you want, and you drag and drop it. So keep in mind that each square represents 1 square foot. So if you need to make sure to allow room for pathways, just keep that in mind. I like to leave 3 foot in between all of my beds if possible, so I can get my garden cart in between them. So that's how it's done. You just create your rows and beds, save them, and then you go in to design your site plan and place them all. Let me just place a pre-plan so you can see that. So place a pre-planned garden and then see them all right here. Let's say I want to place that Cook's Choice garden. You select it, hit place, and there it is. Say I want to rotate it, and let's say right there. So you can just have fun and design it to your heart's content. You can save it. Again, under your email address, you can name your site. So let's just say this is our garden plan 2017, and hit save. And that way you can load it back up later and you can make any changes or anything that you want later on. So that's it as far as designing and planning everything out. Keep in mind that on the left-hand side here, there are a ton of options. There's a ton of resources to help you learn more about all the different crops that you can grow. So there's a planting and care tab that'll help you choose what to grow, where to plant it, what kind of watering it needs. There's also a pest and disease directory, a rainfall calculator, a zone finder if you're not sure what your growing zone is, a vegetable encyclopedia, which is just a wealth of knowledge. It talks about all the different kinds of vegetables that you can grow and just tips and tricks on having success with them. So I just think it's a really neat way to design your garden, and it's a good way to save it. You know, you've got it here, you can email it to yourself, you can email it to somebody else, and I'm just such a visual person that to see things come together with color, and you can see the type of crops that are in each box, it's just such a pleasing thing for me. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll leave a link below so you guys can go check out this website. And thanks again, you guys, so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.